Welcome to HCA Talks Health, brought to you by Health Coaches Academy, the UK's leading health coach training academy. I'm your host, Zina LaRue, a certified health coach, and each fortnight I'm joined by experts from across the health and well-being space to share insights, ideas, and practical tips you can use to improve your health and everyday well-being. On the show today, we have Dr. Tom O'Brien. He is an internationally recognized expert in functional medicine and a pioneer in autoimmune research. He is specifically known for advancing research on food sensitivities and environmental toxins related to autoimmunity, and is often also called the Sherlock Holmes of chronic illness. So it really is lovely to have you on the show today, Tom. A warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It sounds like you're really on a mission. Hey, you're on a mission to help people understand the why behind their symptoms. And I think this is really important. But why do you think it matters for people to truly get this?
We are not winning the war against disease. 76% of adults in the US have one or more chronic conditions.
Yeah.
And it's 59% of young people, 78% of midlife, and 93% of elders. They all have some diagnosed chronic condition they're dealing with. We aren't winning the war. As individuals, we're doing better with our patients, as individual practitioners, but we're not winning the war. And we're at the point in the US where the papers are talking about extinction of the species.
Wow.
Extinction. And it's not theoretical. I mean, it's happening. Scientists tell us that it's 3.2 offspring per couple are required to maintain a population density. 3.2. The US is at 1.6. That's like, wait, what? What? 1.6. And so we're not winning the war. And we need to change the way we think as individuals so that if we as practitioners change the way that we think, well, I should say for practitioners, enhance the way that you think, and then we can more easily guide our patients into changing the way they think. And that trickle-down effect, their patients will tell their spouse, will coordinate with their children, with their families. That is a way that the holistic, integrative, functional, precision medicine world can have an impact that may stop the downward slope that is so dangerous right now. I mean, many of your listeners heard the statistics last year that we now know the accurate statistics in the US. It's 1 child in 32 is in the autism spectrum. We know, okay, and it just went pew, nobody thinks about it. But that number comes from the average of every state report. And it's 1 in 32 is the national average. But in California, it's 1 boy in 12 by the age of 4 is on the autism spectrum.
Yeah.
And we say, oh, that's too bad. No, society can't function if 1 out of 4 males is on the autism spectrum. And we don't know what to do about it. So we treat it the same way as we treat the chemtrails. Oh, that's too bad. They shouldn't be doing that. But there's nothing we can do. So we think the same thing about autism, and it's not the same in healthcare. If we expand as practitioners how we are looking at the overview of the problem that someone is coming in with, we can then more effectively educate them so they own it. And what is it that they have to own? The CDC tells us that 14 of the 15 top causes of death are chronic inflammatory diseases. It's always inflammation. There is no root cause to disease. Stop saying that, excuse me, but stop saying that.
Yeah.
There are many causes. There's one that may be dominant, but there's one root mechanism.
Mm.
The mechanism is inflammation
Mm.
for everything except unintentional injuries.
Sure.
Everything else. And if you think about that and you accept that, then the next question that should come up in your investigative minds as a healthcare practitioner is, where is the inflammation coming from?
Yes.
And too many people, too many of our practitioners are focusing on symptom relief
Mm.
and being very effective at symptom relief, which is great, but they're not teaching the patient, where is your inflammation coming from?
Yes.
And the result of not teaching the patient, where is your inflammation coming from, may be that you're very successful in reducing or eliminating the chronic recurrent migraines that someone has. But they still get diagnosed with cancer in 4 or 5 years,
Mm.
or they have a stroke or a heart attack. Did you do your job?
Mm.
Excuse me, but you're healthcare practitioners or symptom care practitioners.
Yeah.
Nobody talks to us like this,
Mm.
but I'm an old guy now. So I'm just gonna lay it out. Wake up,
Mm.
wake up. We
Mm.
have to educate our patients in making it a priority in their lives to identify, where is my daughter's inflammation coming from with the severe cramps that she's getting, or with my endometriosis, or with my psoriasis. Where is the inflammation coming from?
Mm.
Has to be a part of your protocol, or
Mm.
excuse me, you're not a healthcare practitioner.
Mhm.
You're a symptom care practitioner.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm hoping that I can, like, rouse you. I mean, I love FDNs. I mean, you guys are boots on the ground, which is so essential. The
Mm.
only way we're going to change the direction, the steep decline of the health of our world, is to change the way people think.
Mm.
It's not going to be to have a better red laser light therapy, or that everyone needs an infrared sauna.
Yeah.
There are so many things that are critically important and helpful and beneficial, but that's not going to cut it. You've got to educate your patients. You have to develop the educational system on, where is my inflammation coming from.
Mm. Is that so? So what you're saying is that the extinction of the species, the fact that we are not winning with our health, it's across the board, health is really declining overall, is because of the way we're thinking and because of
Yes,
this central thing, chronic inflammation in the system that we are not treating, but we're just treating the symptoms, but we're not addressing the chronic inflammation at the root of all of this. Is that what you're saying?
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Mm.
Yes, thank you for the summary. It's critically important. If
Mm.
you're and I'm not going to hold back anymore. I saw a friend of mine die recently,
Mm.
and I'm just not going to hold back anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, do not call yourself a healthcare practitioner if you're a symptom care practitioner.
Yeah.
Stop misrepresenting yourself. Excuse me, but you know, we need to make changes, and we don't have time. We don't have time. Every child in metropolitan Mexico City now that they check, every child has evidence they're on the spectrum of Alzheimer's pathology. Everyone.
Gosh.
Every young adult, 21 and younger, has evidence on MRIs of frontotemporal dementia,
Mm.
atrophy of the front part of their brain.
Mm.
And it's coming from the air pollution and lipopolysaccharides.
Mm.
That's every one.
Mm.
And in India, the World Health Organization tells us that 5 cities of India have air pollution 14-fold worse than Mexico City.
Wow.
I mean, this is happening all over the world. And in the US, no, this is not a third world country problem. For those of you that are familiar with inversions, you know what an inversion is. It holds the air pollution down low in
Mm,
the winter times because of the temperatures.
mm,
Los Angeles, Salt Lake City, Denver, uh, the Central Valley, Phoenix. They have so many days where their air pollution is above World Health Standard guidelines.
mm,
They're getting the same inflammation in their brain that's causing killing off brain cells. And we're just not paying attention to any of this.
mm,
We just have the science of Mexico City that they've been studying this for over 20 years and they've been following it. And now they've got it. They've got it you can't argue with this data. This is terrifying.
mm.
It's terrifying.
So it's the pollution, the air pollution is a big contributor of the inflammation in our system that is causing
Yes.
so much
With
havoc.
the lipopolysaccharides piggybacking on the particulate matter.
Mm. Yes, all right. And what else? What else is contributing to the inflammation in our systems? It's not just the
Oh my
that side
goodness.
of it.
So yeah, those are just the extremes. Well, the most common source of inflammation is what's on the end of your fork,
Yes.
right?
Mm.
And so, and we get kind of an introductory level of comprehensive healthcare. And then we get our degrees, our certificates, and then we go out and practice. And we're so busy trying to start a practice and make a living. Many of us kind of lose the postgraduate educational. Um, I think everyone should be allocating 1 hour a week, just 1 hour a week to be studying new material
Yeah.
or elaborating more detail on material. And I thought I'd give you one example of this,
Yes.
of how important it is. Um, if there's a most common food that people, holistic healthcare practitioners recommend be avoided, what food would that be?
Processed foods? Or
Um,
are you saying like
that's
a type of like a carbohydrate
specific
or
foods.
sugar? Sugar. What about sugar?
Well, I would say gluten.
Okay.
The impact of sugar, excessive sugar, is critically important, and
Mm,
that's a no-brainer to educate people on. How do you educate people about how much sugar they're getting, what it's doing to their bodies? Have them wear a continuous glucose monitor for 2 weeks.
mm,
No one can argue with the results when if I eat this, this happens.
mm,
You can't argue with that, right?
mm,
So that's an easy one to fix. And everyone finds their own threshold
mm,
of how they can cross the line. How much can you cross the line? And
mm,
you learn with experience. But a CGM is a great tool for
mm,
that. That makes it easy to
mm.
do. It's like a nicotine patch. You just put it on your arm, and then your app will tell you what's your blood sugar right now.
Yeah.
And so before you eat, after you eat, and all of that, and most all of us have had some experience with CGMs. But in the world of wheat sensitivity, and gluten sensitivity. We all cut our teeth on an understanding of this with celiac disease.
Mm,
Celiac disease was the first autoimmune disease that definitively identified the trigger. It's
mm,
wheat,
mm,
definitively. And not just gluten, but other peptides of wheat can trigger it also. So many of us put people on a gluten-free diet.
mm,
But what's the effect of putting people on a gluten-free diet? You increase their risk of mortality
mm.
dramatically. I'm
No.
going to show you a couple of slides here.
Mm,
And for those that don't have, who are listening to this, as opposed to watching it, I'll talk about each slide.
mm,
Uh, but this is um, jaw-dropping, and everyone needs to know this.
mm,
So this is the largest study on celiac disease that was ever done. In Sweden, they've got records on everybody. They have socialized medicine. So they have records on everybody.
Mm.
And they said, with few exceptions, research has shown an increased risk of death in celiac and in individuals who are positive for endomysial antibodies, that's one of the tests for celiac disease, or positive for anti-gluten antibodies. You have
Wow.
an increased risk of death
Mm.
if you have non-celiac gluten sensitivity.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, wow, wait, what?
Extreme.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the largest study of mortality in celiac disease ever done. And the number of deaths exceeds that of all earlier studies put together. So they've got socialized records, socialized medicine records on everybody.
Mm.
So they looked at 351,000 biopsy reports. So these are people who were sent to gastroenterologists with some kind of a problem.
Yeah.
And part of the investigation was to do endoscopy biopsy,
Mm.
351,000 of them. And they diagnosed celiac disease in 29,000 of them. Okay,
Mm.
okay. They diagnosed total villus atrophy celiac disease in 29,000. But those that had no villus atrophy, but they had positive blood work, 3,736 of them. So that's gliadin antibodies,
Yeah.
anti-gliadin antibodies.
Yeah.
And those that had just inflammation, meaning increased intraepithelial lymphocytes that were identified on the biopsy, 13,000.
Mm.
So they had three different categories.
Yeah.
Total villus atrophy celiac disease, 29,000. Normal mucosa, but positive blood work, 3,700. And inflammation, 13,000.
Sure.
Okay?
Mm.
Mortality was increased in all three groups. So they looked at the 300,000 plus biopsies that they did, and they compared these three groups to the 300,000 other people
Mm.
and followed them over 30 some years. I
Yeah.
think it was 34, but I'm not sure. Oh,
Mm.
but over 30 years.
Yeah.
And if you were diagnosed with celiac disease, you had a 39% increased risk of early death compared to everyone else that had endoscopy biopsy,
Mm.
whether they had cancer or colitis or Crohn's or no diagnosis at all. If you were diagnosed with celiac, you're 39% more likely to die early.
Sure.
Okay? If you had negative biopsy but positive blood work, that's the gliadin antibodies that many people test for, you have 35% increased risk of early death compared to the other 300,000 people that had some kind of gut problem and had endoscopy biopsy. Oh, it's no big deal. I have a little wheat once in a while. I don't feel bad. Well, your blood test says, oh, but I don't feel bad.
Yeah.
But if you just had inflammation, no positive blood work, no total villus atrophy, just inflammation, it was 72% increased risk of early death.
No.
72%.
Wow.
It's like, wake up, people, wake up. These numbers tell us that positive blood work with negative histology is just as serious as total villus atrophy celiac disease. Okay,
Mm.
39%, 35%. Okay, that's true. And that the most dangerous situation of all is just negative histology, negative blood work, but positive inflammation in your gut.
Mm.
And many people are doing gut tests and stool analysis and with markers of inflammation, but you don't put much attention on. But it's a 72% increased risk of early death compared to someone who had colon cancer or compared to someone who had some kind of abdominal symptoms and had an endoscopy biopsy.
Mm. What is the link to death? Does it impact your
I'm
system
getting
or
there.
organs?
I,
Okay, I'll wait.
really, really good question.
Mm.
Cardiovascular disease
Mm.
was the most common cause of death in celiac, followed by malignancy.
Mm.
The highest health risk was seen in the first year after biopsy, and the risk of death was 3.78 with cancer and 1.86, that's 86% increased risk of dying from cardiovascular disease when you're put on a gluten-free diet.
Sure.
If you're diagnosed with celiac, you have an 86% increased risk of death in the first year because very few people are doing it right.
Mm.
In this study, they showed a four-fold increased risk of idiopathic dilated cardiomyopathy in the first year after celiac diagnosis. That's 300% increased risk of cardiac myopathy.
Mm.
Death from respiratory disease was double. Death from other causes was triple in the first year after you put them on a gluten-free diet because people don't know how to do it right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just put you on a gluten-free diet and you'll be better. So the summary of all this is a 39% increased risk of death in celiac compared to the other 300,000 people who were sick and had endoscopies. 35% increased risk of death if you have positive blood work. Don't ever take positive blood work with a grain of salt,
Mm.
right? You guys,
Yeah.
you need to learn this stuff.
Mm.
1 hour a week to learn this stuff. 72% increased risk of death with negative biopsy, negative blood work, and just inflammation in the gut. And it's in the first year, 86% increased risk of death from cardiovascular, 378% increased risk of death from cancer, 213% increased risk of death from respiratory disease, 313% increased risk of death from other causes, 73% increased risk of dilated cardiomyopathy in the first year on a gluten-free diet.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait, what? What?
Bye. Yeah.
So, what's the one universal recommendation for every person diagnosed with celiac disease or a wheat-related disorder?
Yeah.
A gluten-free diet.
Yes.
What else? Anything else? No. For most people, that's it. And you increase their risk of death. Now, I'm going to show you one more study because this is so jaw-dropping. I'm just going to go right to the bottom line on this study. I'm skipping some of the slides for the sake of time.
Yeah.
The highest mortality risk is observed, and this is a Scottish study.
Mm.
It was a 4.85-fold increased risk of death in the first year, and it drops down to 49% if you live 5 to 9 years with a diagnosis of celiac. So it drops down from 385% to 49%, which
Mm.
is still terrible
Yeah.
if you're 5 years down the road. Now, if you make it beyond 25 years, you're okay. You have no significant excess risk as a celiac. Okay. But if you make it beyond 25 years, those diagnosed in childhood had more than double the mortality risk. Wait a minute. Say that again. So if you're an adult and you're diagnosed with celiac disease and you make it 25 years, you're at no higher risk of death than anybody else.
Wow.
But if you're a child diagnosed with celiac disease, you still have double the risk
Mm.
after 25 years of
Sure.
an early death compared to anyone else that had endoscopy biopsy.
Yeah.
And this is the slide that says it all. Perhaps, Zena, you could describe this slide and what you see here.
Okay. So this is the okay, childhood diagnosis causes and adulthood diagnosis
Right,
causes.
right. It's a differentiation between were you diagnosed as a child or as an adult with
Yes.
celiac disease,
Okay.
and then the average age of death for different conditions.
Okay. Yes. So for digestive malignancy is 68%. Is it percent? No, average age. Sorry, the age is 68 years old for digestive
Yes,
malignancy.
yes,
Then malignancy of the lymphoid and related tissue, 61 years old as an adult, but 44 years old as a child.
yes,
When you were diagnosed as a child, all malignancy, 42 years old for a child, 66 for an adult. Heart disease, 72 for an adult. Cerebrovascular disease, 74 for an adult compared to 34 years for a child. 69 years for accident, suicide, and violence for an adult compared to 25 for childhood diagnosed causes.
Yes. So to summarize that, because it's all a bunch of numbers and people get lost in numbers, but if people die of a stroke, cerebral vascular disease, the average of an adult diagnosed celiac patient is 74. For a child diagnosed celiac patient is 34. Accidents and suicide, for an adult, it's 69. For a child, it's 25.
Yeah.
That's what we're up against for one of the most common autoimmune diseases that we absolutely know the trigger for. So why is that happening? Okay, we're going to stop sharing slides now. Why is that happening? Because people aren't putting, most healthcare practitioners do not know how to do a gluten-free diet. And you think that eating gluten-free pasta is safe. Right?
Yeah, tell us more.
That's why I put the certified gluten-free practitioner course together, which every FDN should take. My gosh, it's this kind of, wait, what? Information that you see time and time again. British Medical Journal published a paper. They took 10 healthy adults. The average age was 33. They measured their microbiomes and they put them on a gluten-free diet for a month. Every single person went from a healthy, diverse microbiome to more pathogenic bacteria, much less diversity on the standard gluten-free diet. Every single one of them.
I'm dying.
And you don't know this.
Why? Tell me why.
Because you're giving them white paste.
Yeah.
You tell them, don't eat wheat bread anymore. Eat gluten-free bread. Have a gluten-free bun. You're not changing how they think. You're not looking to see what's triggering the inflammation. Where is the the biomarkers of inflammation are your Bible. And everybody's going to be inflamed when you measure them, of course. That's why they're coming to you, because they've got a chronic disease. But if you're not monitoring every 3 months or so that their inflammatory markers are coming down, you're missing the boat.
Yes.
And you're a crisis care practitioner.
So gluten could be causing inflammation, but just some,
gluten does cause inflammation. That's a really good question. In every human, without exception, you just read the science. My God, every human, no human can digest wheat into individual amino acids. No human. It's not possible. The result is you've got peptides of poorly digested wheat. And there are 62 of those peptides that are immunogenic. They activate an immune response. Mrs. Patient, if inflammation is the cause of your disease, then we have to identify the triggers of inflammation. But inflammation is produced by your immune system. Your immune system is the armed forces in your body, the Army, the Air Force, the Marines, the Coast Guard. Yes. We call them IgA, IgG, IgE, IgM. Cytokines, they're all branches, they're just different branches. They've got different jobs to do, but they're different branches of the immune system. So the question is, what are they trying to protect you from? Why is your immune system activated trying to protect you? What's it trying to protect you from? The immune system is what allows us to survive. So what is it trying to protect you from? That's the million-dollar question. And that should be primary. Symptom relief, or the people don't come back. Okay? Yeah, of course, you've got to help them with symptom relief. But if you don't educate them on this basic foundational concept, you need to be their Sherlock Holmes. You need to be the one that guides them into investigating. Why is my daughter continually having these symptoms? How come my son has attention deficit? Well, it's inflammatory. But where is the inflammation coming from? Have you ever wondered why they give Adderall and Ritalin for attention deficit? They're speed. It's speed. Why do you give speed to slow a kid down?
Mm.
It's really easy when you understand it, right? I had 13 cars when I was in undergraduate school. I worked my way through school. I didn't have any money. I'd buy a car for $75. When it died, I'd junk it and get another car. You never do a tune-up on a $75 car. It costs more than the car.
Yes.
And some of the cars would stall at a red light. How do you stop a car from stalling at a red light? You put it in neutral and rev the engine a little bit. You're not hot rodding. You're just making sure the engine doesn't stall.
Yeah.
Light turns green, drop and drive, off you go. Speed revs up the engine in the brain so that it's more normal because they have hypoperfusion, a lack of blood flow into the brain. So their brains aren't working properly. Now, what's hypoperfusion? Cross your legs. Everybody, please humor me for a minute. Cross your leg. Zena, if you could also please cross your leg.
Crossed, yes.
Okay. Leave them like that for 2 hours. Then stand up and run.
Yeah.
You can't.
No.
There's no blood in your leg, right?
Yeah.
That's the attention deficit child's brain.
Have you ever wondered whether you could turn your interest in health and wellness into a meaningful career? At Health Coaches Academy, we train people just like you to become professional health and wellness coaches through our Level 5 diploma. It's a 12-month part-time course, fully accredited, and designed to give you the skills, confidence, and practical knowledge to help others transform their health while building a career you love. If this sounds like something you'd like to explore, visit healthcoachesacademy.com. Now, back to the show.
That's why SPECT scans are so helpful and why Daniel Amen has been so helpful in helping hundreds of thousands of people. They measure the blood flow in the brain, and then they identify the triggers that are inhibiting the blood flow. 73% of people with a sensitivity to wheat have hypoperfusion into their brain. And it always includes the frontal lobes, where we think, our emotions, our feelings, 73%. So wheat, why is wheat a problem for every human, whether you feel it or not? Because we can't digest it, so the peptides are missing. And this is what they're teaching at Harvard. Gluten is misinterpreted as a harmful component of a microorganism. The amino acid structure looks like a bug.
Yeah.
And human survival was based on fighting the bacteria that our ancestors would be exposed to in the water and in their food. Because before 10,000 years ago, we were nomads. We followed the herds. And they're picking stuff up, they sniff it, they nibble at it, then they eat it. And if it had bad bacteria that wasn't killed off by hydrochloric acid in the stomach, and it got into the proximal part of the stomach, that's where the toll-like receptor 4 sits. And toll-like receptor 4 is looking for bugs. If it sees a bug, two things happen immediately within 5 minutes. Increase zonulin, so now you get leaky gut. Why do you get leaky gut? Because leaky gut, when you have a leaky gut, water comes from the body into the lumen of the intestine to wash out the threat with the poop. Leaky gut is not bad for you. It saves your life. It saves our ancestors' lives. Excessive leaky gut is bad for you. So 2 things. That was the first. The second is activates NF-kappa B, the major amplifier of inflammation. And what's NF-kappa B? It's the desk sergeant at the police station. All right, officers, aisle 6, I want you over in this neighborhood today. Aisle 1 beta, you're over here. That's NF-kappa B. It's a major amplifier of inflammation. That's what it does. Those 2 things happen within 5 minutes of gluten coming into the small intestine in every human.
Does the
I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad when I eat wheat. It doesn't matter how you feel. The bloating and the gas in the gut from eating wheat is not, it's only 9% of the time it's from gluten. The
Mm,
rest of the time is from the FODMAPs, the fermentable carbohydrates.
mm,
But the immune system gets activated in everyone. So if your weak link is Hashimoto's, you get more HTPO antibodies when you're exposed to wheat. Or if it's psoriasis or rheumatoid, you get more collagen antibodies. It just depends,
mm,
right?
mm.
It's not how you feel. And this is the most common food and the only food on the planet that activates an immune response in every human.
Does the quality of the gluten matter? So let's say
No,
a
no.
sourdough bread that has some, you know,
Really good question.
no,
No, not in the least. Unfortunately, not.
it has the same mechanism, so it will impact the
Yes.
body in the same way.
It takes a nanogram
Mm,
of wheat to activate toll-like receptor 4. That's a millionth of a gram. That's
that's
all it takes.
nothing. Yeah.
You know, you read the science and you go, wait, what?
Mm,
What? But our practitioners are not doing that.
mm,
They're not reading for confusion. Confusion means up your game, man. Increase your paradigm. Learn more.
mm,
Well, wait, I thought, no. Well, I could eat the wheat in Europe. No, you can't. You can't eat the wheat anywhere. Well, I
mm.
don't feel bad when I eat the wheat in Europe. I don't get any bloating and gas. That's because the FODMAP content in the wheat in Europe is so much lower.
Yeah. Okay.
And FODMAPs cause the bloating and the gas.
Okay. But it still causes the inflammation and the leaky gut.
It still activates the immune system. It's a harmful component. It's misinterpreted as a harmful component of a microorganism.
Okay. So if you had your way, you would not let any human on earth consume wheat. Is that what you
No,
say?
no, no.
No?
I never, no,
No?
it saved millions and millions of lives. It has. It saved millions of lives. But when you're looking at long-term chronic inflammation, that low-grade inflammation that is the trigger for every degenerative disease, and you're looking how we're getting sicker and sicker and sicker, then you look at what is my immune system trying to protect me from?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you look from that perspective, I always say it the same way. If you are not satisfied with how your body is functioning, just test. Just test. But test accurately, but
Yeah.
just test to see, is my immune system fighting wheat, irrespective of how you feel? It
Mm,
doesn't matter how you feel.
mm,
You don't feel when you've got increased myelin antibodies. You
mm,
don't feel that, but you're killing off myelin. You're developing MS.
mm,
You don't feel it when you've got increased rheumatoid factor antibodies.
mm.
It takes 7 to 14 years of elevated antibodies before you get a symptom of rheumatoid.
Sure. Yeah.
7 to 14 years.
Wow. Yeah.
So, this is like up your game. I mean, you guys, all of us, you have these are the basic principles that we can educate our patients to start asking different questions.
Mm.
Where is my husband's inflammation coming from?
Yes. Very important. Mm.
And that's not something that I think FDNs are trained on. That's not something that IFM trains on. I don't know of any organization that emphasizes this training
Mm.
as primary.
You've mentioned earlier that, okay, so we know that gluten and wheat is problematic, but the moment someone went on a gluten-free diet, then it's still not ideal because they go for the rubbish options. They go for the highly processed starch
Right,
version
right.
of the gluten-free. But if someone were to go on a more paleo-like diet, which is still gluten-free. Is that your recommendation, or what would your recommendation be? It's not the gluten, but it's not the rubbish gluten-free diet. Where should we be going then?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a good question. And everyone should download the article by the Italians, The Mediterranean Gluten-Free Diet.
Okay.
Just download and read the article. And that's a base. That's the base you start from, but it's always specific to the individual. It has to be personalized by what their sensitivities are,
Mm.
what their desires are, what their lifestyle is. But that's the base. And they've got a really nice pyramid in there that I have every patient print the pyramid out on color paper and put it on your refrigerator.
Mm.
So it's the guideline they see all the time.
Yes. Tell us about the link between inflammation and autoimmunity. So we know that inflammation is one of your body's first lines of, mechanisms for defending you, right? So there's
Yes.
an activation of the immune system. And how does that translate into autoimmunity? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, that's really a really good question. Everything I'm telling you, by the way, is in my certified gluten-free practitioner course.
Okay.
And it's part of the FDN postgrad education program. You
Okay.
guys can get your credits there.
Yeah.
Because Reed and I had many discussions about this, and I'm just as intense with Reed and it's just a wonderful conversation.
Yeah.
But in any event, okay. Yeah, let's go to Professor Alessio Fasano, and all this is in the course also.
Mm.
Professor Fasano, he's a professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School, a professor of nutrition, Harvard School of Public Health, the chief of pediatric gastroenterology at Mass General at Harvard, the director of the Celiac Research Center at Harvard, the director of mucosal immunology at Harvard. 5 titles. Any one title is a lifelong dream for someone at the top of their game. He's got 5. And he's got over close to 400 publications now. So you'll see a really good article, and there'll be 8 authors on the article. And the last one, Alessio Fasano, the boss, right? Stamp of approval. Such a busy, busy man. This article he did himself. So he published it himself, which gives you an appreciation of how important he must think it is,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
For someone at that magnitude, the guy is like a Linus Pauling. We hope he's going to win the Nobel Prize because
Mm.
he and his team are the ones that discovered zonulin, the protein that causes leaky gut.
Mm.
And they've been publishing on it for 25 years. So this article he published himself. All disease begins in the, quote, leaky gut. The role of zonulin in the development of chronic inflammatory diseases. And 14 of the 15 top causes of death are chronic inflammatory diseases. How
Mm.
important is this article? Every person listening should download that article. Just type in all disease begins in the, quote, leaky gut, Fasano, and it'll pop right up. I had to read it 3 times to really understand it. So you'll spend some time with this article, but when you've got this, you understand where disease comes from.
Mm.
You've got it. You've got it.
Mm.
Okay, where does disease come from? He calls it the perfect storm in the development of chronic inflammatory diseases. There are 5 factors in the perfect storm. The first is your genetics. Can't do anything about your genetics. People say, well, we're going to turn off those genes. You can't turn genes off. There's no evidence you can turn genes off. You can dim them down or you can ramp them up, but you can't turn them on and off.
Yeah.
Right? So change your language. So and because it changes how you think, how am I going to dim down this gene for poor methylation? Right? So that's first is your genes. Next, environmental triggers. Environmental triggers are the fingers on the knob of the dimmer switch of your genes.
Yes.
It's the environmental triggers. We used to call it epigenetics back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Right? Around the genes. It's the environment that activates or calms down your genetic expression.
Mm.
Third, dysbiosis from too much of the wrong environment. Once again, the most common source of inflammation is what's on the end of your fork. And too much of the wrong kind of exposure causes dysbiosis in your gut. Too many bad guys, not enough good guys in the gut.
Mm.
Fourth, when you have dysbiosis, you get a leaky gut. Okay, what's a leaky gut? Mrs. Patient, your digestive system is a tube. It goes from the mouth to the other end, one big long tube, about 20, 25 feet long, winds around in the center there. The inside of the tube is lined with cheesecloth. Why? Because if you take a bite of a hamburger, you can't let that meat get into your bloodstream. It'll kill you. That meat has to be broken down. Think of a pearl necklace, and your enzymes act as scissors to cut the pearl necklace smaller and smaller, snip, 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 until you have each pearl of the pearl necklace. That's an amino acid.
Yeah.
And the amino acids will go right through the cheesecloth into the bloodstream. That's absorption. Right through the cheesecloth into the bloodstream. Now they're on the highway. Your bloodstream's just a highway, but now you've got all the building materials to make new brain cells, bone cells, skin cells, whatever. We grow and develop based on our amino acid availability, right? Okay, great. What's leaky gut? Leaky gut is tears in the cheesecloth. Now you get larger components of that hamburger, larger pieces of what's being broken down, they get into the bloodstream. It's called a macromolecule, a big molecule, before it should get in the bloodstream. And your immune system, trying to protect you, says, what the heck is that? I better fight that. Now you're allergic to beef. You make antibodies to beef or tomatoes or to bananas or to cucumber. It doesn't matter what the food is.
Yeah.
So you do a 90 food panel and it comes back and they're sensitive to 25 foods and the patient says, oh my God, that's everything I eat. Well, of course it is. You have a leaky gut. You have a leaky gut. So that's number 4 is leaky gut, genetics, environmental triggers, dysbiosis, leaky gut. Macromolecules get into systemic circulation, activating your immune system, trying to protect you. Systemic chronic inflammation. 14 of the 15 top causes of death are chronic inflammatory diseases.
Yes.
Do you understand?
I do. Yeah.
Pulling a chain, the chain always breaks at the weakest link. The one end, the middle, the other end, your heart, your brain, your liver, your kidneys. Okay? The autoimmune disease you get is determined by your genetics and your antecedents, how you live your life. You eat too much tuna fish, you got mercury toxicity most likely. And so you get brain inflammation, brain antibodies from mercury toxicity. So that is the perfect storm in the development of chronic inflammatory diseases. And I did that in like 6 minutes. It's going to take you 3 weeks to really understand this at 1 hour a week. You just take a little bit of time. Well, there's so much to learn. I need to learn what the better form of vitamin C is. You've got piles and piles of things you have to learn. But this is basic. This is Sherlock Holmes stuff. This is for every patient you see. Then you start thinking differently and you educate your patients on thinking differently. And they pass the word out, the trickle-down effect. Then we have a chance of saving society that is going extinct.
I want to, I know that it's quite complex and there's so much to learn around this topic, but I want to make it really practical, Tom. So thinking about some of the things that people can start doing when they're listening and they realize, oh my gosh, I do have a lot of inflammation in my system, or there's some condition that I'm struggling with and I'm curious about the root cause. What could this look like? I don't know if it's going to be easier for you to maybe explain to us like a practical, a day in the life of someone who is managing inflammation, or what would make it really easy for our listeners to understand?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Your listeners are all healthcare practitioners.
Health coaches.
And health coaches, that's right. And so you guys need to do these tests on yourself. And when you do them on yourself and your spouse, because no one's health better than your own and your spouse. And you'll be shocked by what you find. Just shocked. Oh my God, I didn't know that was going on. And then you learn, okay, what do I do about this? And what do I do about that? And what do I do about this? So the key to success in this whole, because every interview I do, very nice person like you will say towards the end of the interview, what can we do today? What can we do right now?
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to know, what can I do tonight? What's the better form of vitamin C? What CoQ10 should I take, right? You have to think differently. You have to change your paradigm.
Mm,
And the only way to paradigm is with immersion. You have to immerse yourself to
mm,
see if I'm blowing smoke
mm,
or not. And I think everybody knows I'm not. You just don't want to hear this. But you do these tests on yourself first. And then this is the secret to success
mm,
for our practitioners and for our patients.
mm,
1 hour a week.
mm,
You tell your family every Tuesday night after dinner, don't bother me for an hour. I'm going to learn a little more about how we can be healthier.
mm,
Or every Saturday afternoon or every Sunday after service, whenever it is, doesn't matter.
mm,
But you are demanding 1 hour a week of your time is going to learn this big picture.
mm.
I don't know how to say it in a way that is um, more engaging, other than it's the only game in town that's going to save the species.
Mm,
It's the only thing is if all of us as healthcare practitioners up our game, stop focusing on just symptom relief,
mm,
up our game, and develop an educational program within your practice to guide your patients into asking the questions, where is the inflammation coming from?
mm,
Then they'll learn. It's 1 hour a week. And you tell patients what we say to our Miss Patient, when you get my book, one of my books, like you can fix your brain was number one in 7 categories on Amazon for brain function,
mm.
right? And there's 36 to-dos in there. So you go back to, so 1 hour a week, you go back to the book, and that's right. He said that leaving leftover food in plastic containers, I'm getting these chemicals that disrupt my hormones from the containers. So you go back, here's 3 URLs for glass storage containers.
Mm,
You go to mileskimball.com, Amazon, and whatever the third one was, and those were, oh, I like those. And you order 3 round ones and 2 square ones and one for the pie, pay with your credit card, hit send. You're done for the week. It took an hour to do that.
mm.
But never again will your patient poison their family with minute amounts of these phthalates that accumulate in the brain, right?
Yeah.
And then next week, it's nail polish because of the phthalates that make the nail polish hard. They're in your bloodstream in 4 to 5 minutes, and you find organic phthalate-free nail polish. And then next week, it's house plants. And then next week, it's food sensitivities.
Mm,
And 1 hour a week. And in 6 months, you've got this. As a clinician, you've got this. And
mm.
you're going to seminars now, and you're like so far ahead of the game, understanding how this really great information about beta glucan as a prebiotic fits into the bigger picture of what do I do to help my patient understand where their disease is coming from.
Yeah.
I had a really wonderful man, the husband of one of my staff. He was a janitor in a elementary school, and all the kids loved him. They would say, "Hi, Ray. Hi, Ray." He was just his energy was just beautiful. And I'd say to him at staff gatherings, I'd say, Ray, come on in. Let me do a blood test for you. Check
Mm,
out your cardiovascular system. He says, "Oh, my doc says I'm okay. My cholesterol's good." I said, "But yeah, but Ray, you've got these creases in your ears. Let's just check." And a couple of years later, he comes in. "Hey, doc. Hey, Ray, how are you today?" I said, "Fine, fine. Hey, can we do that blood test?" I said, "Sure." Drew his blood, left to drive home, pull over on the side of the freeway and died of a heart attack.
oh no.
He must have had chest pain and he didn't tell me.
Oh no.
But that's when I said, never again.
Mm,
Never. So with all of you FDNs, it's like never again, man.
mm.
None of your patients are to die because you were not effective in communicating how can they explore where their inflammation's coming from.
Yes.
That's the bottom line. So excuse me for being so abrupt,
Mm,
but my CGP program, there's a link for a 30% discount for you guys. And if you don't like it, if you're not happy with it, just write us. We'll send you your money back. I don't care. I want you, and it's the introduction to this whole world. All disease begins in the gut.
Yeah.
This is the introduction to this whole concept. And I promise you, it'll change your paradigm so that as great as it is to learn about some new protocol or some new products that are on the market that get quicker relief or patches that you can wear, whatever it should be, they're not dealing with the lifestyle that's causing the chronic low-grade inflammation that's fueling 14 of the 15 top causes of death.
Yeah. Okay, Tom. So if people want to find out more and they're really interested in what you've shared with us today, you've mentioned the course, you've mentioned the books. Can they go to your website to see all of these options? What would be the best place for them?
Yes. The website is thedr.com, thedoctor.com. Just don't spell the word doctor out. And the promo code is CGP30.
Okay.
CGP30. And it's our gift to you, And once again, you don't like it, just tell us. We'll send you your money back. But we get so many testimonials, and I'm stopped at events where I'm speaking. Hi, I'm FDN. I did your call. I'm a CGP. I said, oh, thanks so much. I said, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And they say it often. They say, changed my life, changed the way I thought about all this.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us today. So I know we covered quite a lot, and I think
Yes.
there's a lot for our listeners to think about, or like you say, take that hour once a week and read up and be informed with the latest research, because there's new stuff coming out all the time, right? So stay informed, stay educated. But if there's one thing,
And one more, yeah.
yes,
Well, two things. One,
yeah,
do not put people on a gluten-free diet until you know what you're doing.
yes, okay,
Because you increase mortality.
yeah. So
That's no joke. I showed you a few of the studies. Like, wait, what? What?
yeah,
So, and you put people on a gluten-free diet, they lose weight, they feel better, their energy's up. The wife comes in for her appointment and she tells you her husband's doing great, thanks so much. And then you hear 8 months later he died of a heart attack.
yeah,
And there's no correlation. You don't know the correlation.
yeah.
They don't know the correlation that you set it up. This is, excuse me, but this is real. This is real. And I know there's one thing. You asked if there's one thing, and there is. It's 1 hour a week. Just do 1 hour a week. That's all it takes. It'll take a few months, but you'll get this down. You will have it. And I promise you, you'll forever be grateful that you allocated that 1 hour a week.
Yeah, there's a level of education that needs to take place, because I think sometimes people might even do it in the name of health. I'm going on a gluten-free diet in the name of health, but in the meantime, you're not realizing what the consequences might be. So get more informed,
That's right.
educate ourselves and our clients to lower that inflammation, that chronic low-grade inflammation in the system, and be a Sherlock Holmes, as you are, Tom, looking for the reason, the root cause, but uncovering the things that are within
The
our
root
control.
mechanism.
The root mechanism.
The root
not the
mechanism.
cause. Yeah, the root mechanism. Looking at the things that are within our control to
That's right.
change. Yeah. And I think like a chronic illness doesn't always have to feel like a life sentence. Right. And I think what you've encouraged us to do is to be curious and to dig a bit deeper and to be open to trying different approaches and not just accepting a diagnosis at face value, I guess.
That's
Asking
exactly right.
questions.
In my practice, it's 3 weeks. Mrs. Patient, if you aren't feeling better in 3 weeks, I
Yeah.
don't care if you've got stage 4 cancer. I
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah.
You better notice something's improving
Mm.
or we haven't nailed it yet.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for taking this time today to share with our audience and for the important work that you're doing. And also thank you so much
you.
to our listeners for tuning in today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please feel free to share it with friends or family who might find it inspiring. And if you'd like more insights like this sent directly to your inbox, make sure to sign up for our fortnightly HCA Talks Health newsletter. We've popped the link in the show notes. See you next time.